Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. This is Daniel with Back Nine Insurance. Really looking forward to going through the webinar with you guys. Looks like we're going to be a couple more minutes here before everybody jumps on. In the meantime, just want to introduce ourselves, introduce software and some of the changes that are happening. A lot of you guys are probably working from home, and that's awesome to see. You know, our industry has always allowed that privilege, and now people are actually taking advantage of that and being forced to kind of adapt to a new way. As that happens, the carriers are doing the same thing. So the traditional process for the carrier has always been to go through that whole underwriting process, to have the application go all the way through. Each step of the way, you know, something's going to get mailed, someone's going to touch that. And as we go through that process, typically it's going to get mailed out to the client. Carriers are now just kind of doing away with that traditional process. We've had a few carriers now that have been doing it for a while. And those are the ones who you've probably seen on our Quote and Apply platform here for a while. But a lot of carriers are just now adapting that new online atmosphere, you know, from their traditional process. That's great news for us. You know, as the awareness grows, people are getting more and more timid. You know, I want life insurance, but that medical exam, guys, that's really just a problem. You know, I'm not sure that I want to be exposed to that. I'm not sure that I want someone in my home right now. And the carriers see that, you know, so not only they're losing money on bonds, but they're also now losing money on new business because people are a little bit intimidated about that medical exam. So as we get started here today, just know that carriers are adapting. You know, we now have some incredible offerings. John Hancock, for example, they just raised their maximum base amount without a medical exam needed to $5 million. Now that does have some age restrictions, you know, 18 to 55, and there's a couple other restrictions there as well. But that's just telling you, you know, where they're going. We also have a couple other companies who are only doing electronic delivery. And so everything that will only be emailed. So John Hancock, not only are they doing that medical exam, no medical exam up to $5 million, but they also have now electronic delivery, which is something that's been lacking in the past. And so carriers are adapting. You know, these are strange times for everybody involved. A lot of you guys probably have business. You probably have a client base. That client base is probably slowing down a little bit if it's property and casualty based, because people are going more and more to the vest right now. People are like, hey, you know, I understand I need the insurance. I know I have to pay my premium. You know, if you're in certain states right now, like New Jersey, for example, they're saying, hey, you know, just take your time, you know, maybe we can get a couple months and you can pay those premiums later. You know, that's something that we've never really seen before. Carriers are being a little bit more flexible. And so as we are getting through this together, as your client base for property and casualty is getting a little bit closer to the vest, we have a life insurance solution because we're up almost 15% now, which is, I don't say that lightly because I know it's a hard time right now for a lot of people, but life insurance awareness is growing. People are becoming more and more aware of what it is. And now that they know that there's a way to do it online, they don't need to do a medical exam, they don't need somebody to come to their home. It's really becoming a fruitful thing for a lot of the agents working with us. Not only is that client getting that protection, but you're able to do that as the agent entirely from your website or from an existing channel. And so a couple things right now. I want to go ahead and share the screen so we can go through the entire process together. And so as we go forward here, let me know what questions you guys have. I know there's probably going to be a lot in the Q&A today, and I do talk pretty fast. So if you need any more clarification, you know, feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email. Things are moving right now, you know, so as we're moving forward together, just send me a chat, send me the question here in the chat box or in the questions panel. If you have any point, have any issues, hear anything or see anything, just let me know. I appreciate all of you taking the time today. It looks like there are quite a few people on the call, so it's good to see. You know, it's good to see people working from home and having the availability here to jump on. All right, so this is the Quote and Apply system. A lot of people know that already, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. What I want to talk today about is some of the carriers. And so I'm going to pull up the Quote and Apply just so you guys can see what it looks like. We'll get to the carrier page. So let's just say Daniel Gates here. Gender, male or female. General health from standard through super preferred. Nicotine or cannabis, current, previous, or never. Height and weight. You can put in your height and weight here, or you can just skip it for now. Always recommend putting this in because we have a build chart that's built in. Date of birth. And once we get to the carrier screen, guys, we're going to be talking about the different limitations, different changes from some of the carriers here on Quote and Apply. So just bear with me here. Here's our product types. For those of you who do not know, we have added whole life now to the platform. A lot of people talking about it. A lot of people wanted it. And so now under permanent insurance here, when you click the drop down, you will have whole life, a little explanation here about the whole life. We have universal life with that long-term care rider. protection IUL. That's a death benefit driven accumulation retirement product. If you have questions about that, or you have a client, or you want to get into a more advanced market, than the term, let us know. We're happy to help out with that. Guaranteed UL. So it's similar to a whole life chassis, but there's no cash value, final expense, and accumulation IUL. Clicking next. Let's just say I wanted a 20-year term. Here's our carriers, and here's some of the things that are happening. Right now, Transamerica is not someone I would work with. And I in the past, I know they've been around for a long time, but they have adjusted their operations. So now there is no phone calls in their company. All communication within Transamerica is done electronically now. So that's case checkups, that's case updates. And you can imagine, we have a big corporate structure, and this remains true for all the carriers. When you have a big corporate structure, a lot of times it's going to be tough to get a lot of people to be proficient from home. And so we're going to have a lot of opportunity here to probably shift that business that may have been going to Transamerica before to somewhere else. Another thing with Transamerica is they do not have the electronic delivery. So a lot of clients don't want to get mail right now, and they don't want to sign any mail. And so that's something that's really important to mention. In the future, I'm sure Transamerica will come back around, but right now it's just not there. They don't have a lot of communication within that back office, and it's really starting to bog down the process. Up next, you have Protective. Right now, Protective doesn't really have any major changes as a company. They do already have electronic delivery. They already have electronic issue. And so we're not really seeing any limitations there. When you're writing with any of these carriers for the new business process, if you have any questions as your case is in underwriting, just give me a call or give our case girls a call. That's on the contact button when you're logged into Boss. And they can update you kind of what's going on. We're going to do screenshots right now too of the carriers just to give you updates on where that case is and what place that case is at with that carrier, just so you guys have a little bit more transparency there on where the cases are. As we continue to grow, carriers are still working on appointments. So those of you who have worked with us in the past, that the first appointment with us with a new carrier takes a little bit of time, typically up to a couple weeks. And that's just because the carrier is going to do their background check, and they're going to do a lot of other things to approve you for your direct appointment. Right now, that process is a little bit slower. Whenever you submit your contracting to the carrier will use their team, obviously, to make an approval for you for that appointment as a company or as an agent or as a downline agent. But that process right now is at 3 weeks for a lot of carriers as opposed to the 1 to 2 weeks that it was before. So just keep in mind whenever you guys are writing new business, everything's just moving slower. You just have this big, enormous factory, and now the operations are all being done from separate segments. So it's just taking a long time to assemble everything and get everything out proficiently whenever everybody's scattered. But carriers are still operating. A lot of the exam companies are still going full speed. Companies like Exam One gave their staff the option. Do you guys want to work right now or not? And for those who have said yes, they're still in full speed. If you guys don't have access to Exam One, there is APS or apps. And so there's a lot of different ways that we can obtain those medical records. It just really depends on what you guys need. The other way is human API. So for those of you who aren't familiar with that, when you're going through our application process, at the very end, you're going to see the option to gather electronic records by the client logging into their health portal. So what that means is if they use Kaiser, they have a family clinic somewhere, and they have an electronic resident sign-in or a portal as a client with that health facility, we can get their medical records electronically, typically within a couple hours. And that's done through a APS request. And so that means that the client goes in, logs into Kaiser Permanente, for example. They're going to put in their password, and we're automatically going to pull the medical records and send them to the underwriter. Only the people that are supposed to see those records. And that's automatic, guys. So at the end of this application process, when you're filling out those medical questions, the first question is going to say, do you want to save some time in underwriting by doing the instant APS process? And go ahead and say yes to that, have your client log in, and you'll be able to initiate those medical records. Assurity right now, we have no change in life. Pac Life, there are a couple of small changes with Pac Life. They've really come a long ways as a company, and they've taken on a lot of business. And for those of you who work with them recently, they're fast, they're responsive in their back office. Right now, Pac Life will use other available data to source and underwrite rather than person exams. And so similar to John Hancock, they're going to thoroughly investigate and tear apart the medical records for that client. They're going to go through everything that's ever been done in the last 10 years minimum. But generally speaking, they're very, very thorough about script checks, about MIB, about enforced policies or your current insurance status, any finances, any MVR issues. You haven't renewed your registration in 3 years, that might count against you. things like that people don't always think about included in the process of the background check and underwriting. It definitely is. And we also have the spending habits for some carriers, the TRL report. So there's a lot of things that they're going to take into consideration, but Pac Life's going to go up to 5 million. And so that's from standard or better from age 60 and under. And so you're going to have $5 million of life insurance available through Pac Life without needing a medical exam. And so this is what the carriers are doing, guys. And this is why we're so excited on our side, because we've been waiting for this. We developed Quote and Apply 5 years ago. We foresaw that things were going to be electronic. We got these carriers on an electronic platform, and now it's awesome to see these carriers. But under the circumstances, we are seeing a lot of growth. We're seeing that carriers are growing. They are expanding. They're transitioning to a more electronic process. They're doing things to make it easy to do business with them electronically or without having to see that person or submit 15 pieces of paper into a carrier through mail. There's a lot of different ways that they are adapting now, and that's exciting for us to see. Remember, there are questions here, guys. So if you have questions throughout this process, please do not hesitate to ask. I haven't seen anything come through so far, but I do want to just reiterate that there is a questions panel here. So as we're going through this together, guys, please go to the questions, type in your questions. If you have a carrier that you love working with and you want an update on, and I might have that information, would prefer if we work through us, if that's in the cards. But for right now, we're just trying to let everybody know what's going on, so obviously we want to earn that business, but if you have somebody who's already an underwriter right now and you're trying to figure out what's going on with that, with a different relationship, we don't mind. We're happy that you've attended and happy that you're here with us. So again, in the questions panel, any questions, guys, anything at all, just let me know and we'll go through that together. Banner. So one thing carriers are doing is a good health statement. So that means they're making sure that you haven't had any exposure to anybody who has respiratory or fever or any issues within the last 14 days. You're also going to need to sign off on you've been to the physician in the last X amount of time, and different carriers have different rules there. If you travel outside the U.S., you're going to be postponed for a minimum of 30 days on your application. And if you plan to travel outside of the U.S., most carriers right now are saying, hey, if you're planning on doing that, you're kind of crazy, so we may not consider you for life insurance. So they may postpone people who have plans as well. Principal, very similar. They have a statement of health will be required. Principal does up to $1 million typically. So there's no changes really for them. They've been ahead of the curve here for quite a while. So when you're looking at Principal National, they have a no exam option here for $1 million. There's about a 50% success rate, and I can anticipate that number goes up a little bit with the circumstances going on. But you'll see here that they have their height and weight requirements. Every carrier has that here, just for those of you who haven't noticed that before. So every single time that you run a quote with our system, it's going to put your client in the given or the appropriate rate class according to the parameters and the information that we're given. And so whenever you give us the client's height and weight, their date of birth, their age, their smoking status, and the other general information, we're going to automatically match up a carrier with those data points. And so based on the height and weight here for me, 6'4", 230, I may qualify for preferred non-tobacco. Preferred non-tobacco can go up to 239 with Principal. And so as long as I fall within that, I'll be able to skip that preferred option. I'm going to do a phone interview with the carrier and just say, hey, carrier, yeah, I'm generally healthy. I eat pretty well. Or I try to eat well when I can. I do pretty well. The difference there is going to be maybe a super preferred versus a preferred. They want to know that you have a healthy diet. So just little tips and tricks there for you guys. We do have a product guide. So every single one of our products, you're going to be able to click on the product guide here. So this is specific to the product that's being shown. When you're on Quote and Apply, you'll be able to see each product, and it's going to explain how those products work in a couple pages. And so that's available for every single product here on the platform. You'll be able to click on that product guide and go through it. Still seeing limited questions here. A few that I'm going to wait until the end for. For right now, no, there's no fees for the platform. And yes, we are seeing a slowdown in the total processing time. So what I mean by that is typically the industry says it's going to take 30 to 45 days for your application to go approved and have it enforced with that client. And I know that varies. Some of you out there who might work with captive carriers, oh, it's only 7 days or 11 days, or why does it take so long? They're doing a background check before they appoint you. They're going through the process. Your client might have done the medical a week after they actually did the application. So all of these things are going to increase the duration and the obligation of time for that entire case process. Right now, usually it's about 30 to 45 days on average, and that's just based on response times and everything else with each carrier and client and agent. Sometimes you guys are, and myself, we're at fault. We do everything we can to make that efficient. But as you're going through that process with those carriers, each carrier has their own individual unique process for the contracting. Industry says 30 to 45 days. Right now, industry says 50 to 60 days. And delays on cases, typically after 60 days of being pending business, the carriers will cut you off and say, hey, you waited way too long. We're going to have to get a new application. They're now extending that out to 90 and sometimes 120 days, just depending on what carrier you're working with. They know that people aren't moving very fast right now, and some people are in financial stress, or some people need to, make sure that things pan out here before they apply for insurance. On the flip side of that, we are seeing a giant uptick in business insurance. So your key person in your buy-sell agreements, feel that people are more aware now of what might happen if a disability was to happen with their business partner. So it's not just on a death trigger. So buyouts or key person insurance or buy-sell agreements, however you want to structure it. Essentially, any of them can be used with a ladder, so you can attach a disability policy as well as life insurance. So that way, if someone was to get sick or injured, it also buys out that business as opposed to just upon a death. That's something I'd love to talk to you guys about. I have a couple of those in underwriting right now. And it's something that's popular. Business owners are a little bit nervous. There's a lot of people out there. They're like, if I got corona, I'd be out for 3 weeks or 5 weeks or whatever it might be. Or even if I was to get some other type of illness, or maybe I got injured, being out for a couple months, 3-6 months, we can set that up for a trigger to kind of help cover that business expense. We do have the temporary good statement of health required for principal. We have a 30-day reopen time for cases that go delayed, so with Prudential. So that's what I was talking about earlier. We have the ability to extend that period of time for think period for the client, so they can go from that typical 60-day window up to 90 days. Everything will be e-delivery from now on with Prudential. So when you guys are using our platform, you'll see Prudential down here. They're 14th best in the term space, but if we take this up to the GUL instead, you're going to see it ranking a little bit better. So now it's 4th best instead of 15th best. Just really depends on what you guys are looking for. And Prudential typically is not a term insurance carrier. They're more of a permanent carrier. The time there is a term insurance carrier, Prudential is great for big and tall. So people who are heavy set, 6 foot, 310 pounds or 340 pounds, whatever it might be. We also have smoking. So people who are using chewing tobacco every day, an unlimited amount, it's still non-tobacco rates. People who are using vapes, you have some limitations now, but generally speaking, it could be a non-smoker rate if it's once in a while. Then you have your cannabis considerations as well, which they're pretty liberal in their underwriting for cannabis. A lot of carriers are changing to that, but that's a whole nother webinar we'll do another time, guys. Yes, so going back here, great question. So with principal, they do need the good health statement, and if they do not have the good health statement, then they will postpone. So you want to make sure that they provide that. That's now a requirement of submitting new business to some of these carriers. And that's under certain ages or over certain ages or with certain parameters or just in general. Some carriers are just requiring it in general. So just expect that person to have to sign off on a good health statement. It's a general thing. It's really easy to do. It's just required by the carrier. All right, so we talked about Prudential a little bit, and we talked about Transamerica. They're communicating all via email. So that's internal teams, that's them to you, that's them to each other. Right now, Transamerica is not a company that I would use just because their communication channels are very clouded. For the exam vendors, they're going to be reviewing and reviewing and completing new exams. And so for anybody who was scheduled or wants to get scheduled for the medical exam, they are still operating. As I mentioned earlier, the staff may be limited, so their time slots may be limited. Generally speaking, the software will show 5 or 7 slots per each day. You might see 1 or 2, and you might see some missing days now just because of the limited staff. But they are still going full speed. We're still doing medical exams. Carriers are now transitioning to that no exam so we can get some more business done. For those of you just joining, please shoot me an email. I can send you a copy of this webinar. That way you can see it. Really appreciate everybody's time here and talking about some of the updates and kind of what's going on. We have a few different key features in the software right now that people are seeing really useful. So whenever you log into your account here at back9ins.com, you're going to be able to go down to Welcome Tour. This is going to walk you through some key features. One thing that we've done recently is we have created an entire contracting process that's online. And so now whenever you go to get contracted with Back9, so you can start writing business or start quoting people, You're going to be able to do that entirely online with an electronic signature. If you wanted to add a couple people in a downline to your agency, they'll go through the same process. They'll create their account right here. They'll go through the contracting online, just putting in some general information, and then they're going to be able to get appointed under your agency. So all the commissions will be paid to your agency directly from the carrier. So there are direct appointments only here, except for Mass Mutual and Penn Mutual. They both have kind of their own little weird process, but generally speaking, you'll have direct appointments with everyone. Clicking next, how-to videos, basics on how to get started. And for those of you who aren't familiar yet, I did just create a YouTube channel, so we're going to be doing a lot of videos, a lot of how to get started, walking through the contracting process, walking through the quote and apply setup. You know, what's that custom message that your client sees? What does that look like? We're going to have all of that available. On quote and apply, we're going to have some new products coming out. So we just added, as I mentioned earlier, for those of you who didn't hear, we have Nationwide's Whole Life. It's a guaranteed whole life, so there's no participations, a non-participating whole life, guaranteed accumulation, guaranteed premium, guaranteed death benefit. Those of you who are familiar with Northwestern Mutual or New York Life, other mutual companies, they will generally do something like this, a guaranteed whole life, just because they have the funding for it. And so this is similar chassis, you know, to what you might see out of a Northwestern Mutual product. Clicking next. Quote request. So if you're not seeing what you're looking for, you're wondering about something else that you don't see on the quote and apply system, that's the thing we were going through earlier with those 15 carriers. We do work with more than 60 carriers for those of you who don't know about us. And so 15 of the carriers are online. The other ones have their own traditional process. We do support iGo, eApps. We support iPipeline. We give you, once you have your appointments, you'll have a login for each carrier directly. So if you want to use their electronic processes, you can. For Penn Mutual, that's the ACE program. We provide several complimentary marketing pieces for you guys. So whenever you go into your marketing section, you're going to be able to select a template directly from the software. So this is a no exam life insurance. Super popular right now, right? In light of everything going on, people want an option for no exam life insurance. So you just put in your client's email right here, and we'll send them a protect your family with life insurance, get $1 million starting at $36 a month without an exam. Get your free quote here. And so you'll use this template, you'll just put in your client's email, and you'll send this template directly to your client. We don't share or sell your information or your client's information. We have no interest in farming leads. This is specifically for you. So whenever you're writing business with existing clients, or you have clients who are in your existing client base, so maybe your property and casualty business, maybe your health insurance business, this is the type of template you can send out to your client base. They click on this right here, get your free quote. That'll read, if you have it on your website, it'll redirect them to your website. Otherwise, it's going to take them to your quote and apply link. Look forward to sending your quote and let me know if you need anything else. So you can customize this language to anything you want. You'll also have the different licenses here, so you can see the different states that people are licensed in. You have an agency option here. If you wanted to add a downline of agents, you can send them to this and recruit through it. Not recruit as in MLM group. Oh my God, send it to all your friends, see if you can make money. That's not what we do here. But recruit as in you have a downline agent who you have some business interest in. Maybe you pay their E&O. Maybe you're providing them leads. Maybe you're giving them sales advice. You know, those are the kind of guys we're looking for. You can add them to your agency. You can have all the commissions paid to your agency, and then you give them your own split. Typically, we see an 85-15, the override 15% to the house. You give the agent 85% of the retained commission on that paid commission. Each carrier has their own target process, so you'll be paid on according to target. For those of you who are not familiar with that, give me a call. We can go through it. Okay, so I'm going to go through a couple questions now. It looks like we have quite a few. So can we send the quote and apply via email? So yes, you can. It's pretty simple to do overall. You'll just go here to the link itself, or if you have this up on your website, I always recommend putting it up on your website, guys, just because it does convert pretty well. But if you have it up on your website, you'll be able to click on that. And then here it is. So you can just send your client your URL for your own website as opposed to send them the quote and apply link. They can open it from their cell phone, and 55% of our business is done from a cell phone. So you can just send it right to them. They'll be able to go through it right here on the spot. When you see the rate, so what rate will the client see first whenever they open that link? So whatever rate you have open, guys, is the rate that your client's going to go on to. So if you stopped at this place and you had Pack Life up on the link, and then you send the email right here and it emails it to them, whenever they open that up, it's going to open it up specifically to the Pack Life link that we've already selected. The other alternative here, guys, is to go to apply in minutes. put in the application, put in the client's name and where the application will be sent. And so this is the email address here. And then from there, we're going to go into the automatic email settings. So what just happened whenever I click next is an email goes automatically to me. Just like if this was from your individual link, this is your client getting an email that says, thank you for starting the application. On here, we also have the messages. So this is, thanks for getting your insurance quote. If you need a hand getting started, have any questions, let us know. I'll be happy to assist. Usually click to respond. Here's a link to your quote. Thank you. A lot of times I'll add a phone number. Please feel free to reach out to me. And then we'll put in a phone number. XXXXXX. So you can just change that there for that client. Now they have that custom message that they're going to receive. When you have that, they're going to be able to also go through that entire application. So this is going to send them a link to the quote. That link to the quote allows the client independently of you to go through the entire application process. And so they'll be able just to click on that simple link that's the hyperlink here, and they'll put in their birth date, and now they're doing the application for themselves. You want to turn carriers on or off. So a lot of people tell me, hey, I already work with these carriers, maybe I don't want to do this. Well, great. We don't want you to change any relationships that probably established. You're probably friends with those guys. So here's the carrier options. Click to activate or deactivate. So you say you have a great contract with AIG. You're at 130 points, and there's no way you're going to give that up. I wouldn't either, so just go ahead and turn them off. That way, any business that goes to AIG goes through your existing channel because you're not marketing AIG from back nine. They do allow a dual appointment on everything besides final expense. That's one thing we can talk about. For those of you who have questions, we can always talk about it later. Can we send to multiple clients at once? For the email campaign, you can send it to up to 100 people at once. And so if I go here to marketing, we'll select a template and we'll enter the email. So it says select up to 100 people at once. When you send that, whenever you respond to it, great, thank you for the confirmation. So whenever you do send this to multiple people, they're going to be able to respond to you. When they respond to you, it'll come to your inbox, not the platform itself. And you guys can actually use these templates if you already have MailChimp. You already have someone else that you use for an email service. You already have a constant contact service like Agency Elephant. You can just plug in the HTML. And so we give you the little code here. So you can either plug this in or you can just copy it right here. Send email, copy HTML. We'll copy the text, and then you can paste that into MailChimp. When you paste that into MailChimp's HTML, it's going to create this exact same email, but you're going to have the ability to check open rates. You're going to see how many people are clicking on it. You're going to see what the success of that campaign was and who was interested. So it's pretty smart to do. That way you have email addresses and contact information for everybody that had interest. We don't have the ability to do that through our software right now. There's some limitations in licensing and things that it's just not a focus for us right now. This serves as a starting point for you guys to be able to market to your clients using 7 different templates. New mortgage, new life insurance is very popular amongst property and casualty. Final expense is very popular amongst Medicare or health insurance. Life insurance policy review, if you're captive before or you are recruiting people who used to be captive, or maybe you've just been in the business for more than 15 years or more than 10 years, life insurance policy review is a smart way to go. This allows your client to review their existing coverage, and it kind of unearths a couple new business opportunities for you. So health changes, marital status, career changes, all these things will affect your insurance and how much you need, and your retirement. So a phase of life and how much accumulation you have for retirement. So here's some basics on what we need from you, and then we're able to move forward. So it's pretty quick. Questions here. How long does it take? So whenever you create your account, it's pretty quick. You'll be able to go to the Back9 website. You create your account, you log into Boss. Once you log into Boss, you'll see this home screen right here. This home screen is automatic. So we're integrated with the Department of Insurance and NIPR. So whenever you create your account with us, we're going to automatically pull all your information. So this does include your business address, your licensing, your phone number, your fax number, your date of birth. We're going to pre-fill all that information into our contracting process. So I'm going to go to my test account here so I can show you guys what that looks like. When you go to contracting, you just pull it up real quick. It's going to pre-fill the information that you've already put in here. And I do have a video on this, guys, and I'm happy to share that with you. Just shoot me an email and I can share the video. But here's the information for contracting. So we're going to pull this automatically. If you are going to be paying commissions to your business, you can actually create the agency account right here. Commission to be paid to a business. I'm a signing officer of the agency. Here's the information for my business. So we're going to create a portal for you, just like you saw on the home screen there, for your business. This allows you to oversee business for anybody in your downline and keep it separate from your personal production. Or you can include it with your personal production. It's up to you. I prefer to keep it separate. So go in here, we can say I'm not a signing officer of the agency, so it's just going to ask for the agency NPN. Commission is going to be paid to your personal account. You just have to have a voiding check ready to go. We're going to ask for that on the next step here for EFT, where you will give us a voided check and upload that, and then we will allow you to move forward here into the E&O screen. So for EFT, your check must match your business. If you're going to pay your commissions to your business has to hold its own life license. So say that again, if you're going to be paying commissions or an entity or a business entity or a corp, your corp or business entity has to hold a life license in order to get paid commissions for life insurance. It's a DOI thing, it's a money laundering thing. They just want to make sure that whoever is getting paid that has a license to do it. And so that is a limitation for some people when you're going through this process. If your business isn't life licensed in the states that you want to sell it in, then just go ahead and do a personal. As we grow and develop together, you'll have the extra means to be able to go ahead and do that agency license in no time. But for right now, just stick with a personal account to keep it simple. Don't do that for too long. There are tax implications, and make sure you talk to a CPA if you're going to be doing high volume. Here's your E&O. So you'll have your E&O insurance for a lot of people that work with PGI, Premier Group Insurance. Any of you guys here, they're on the call. Looks like we have at least one or two. For those of you who are on here, just know that PGI's E&O is kind of limited. So there's a few carriers that will accept it, a few carriers that won't. And I'm creating that list here this week to do a press release and a webinar with you guys just to teach everybody in PGI what's going on with you guys. For those of you who are in insurance soup, there's really not a lot of limitations right now overall. You know, we're seeing a high case volume. We just signed a contract with EasyLinks. We just put a partnership in place with Redtail. We have Assurance and a couple other big companies who are coming soon. And so we're creating strategic partnerships. We're continuing to expand. And for a lot of you, anybody using EasyLinks, you're going to see that automatically. You know, that's an integration with the company at the corporate level. So just pretty excited, you know, be on the lookout for some changes and some different advances that are happening here with Back 9. There are quite a few different ways that we can take this from now. So for those of you who have questions over how you can market this to your clients, we do have quite a few resources for you. But we also have the video channel. So something I'm building right now to help you guys just to get started. And so we'll go to YouTube and I'll show you real quick here on the video just so you can see what it looks like. So you'll go to the welcome tour. So some of you may have seen this here in the first email. So this is the introduction video. Looks like a few people have looked at it. We just launched it recently. So this is introducing you to the agency. The next one here is customizing quote and apply for your agency. So let's say you only want to show final expense. You only want to show term insurance. You don't have any idea what IUL is. That's no problem. The software can be customized. You can hide that from your audience. That way you're always professional. You're always knowledgeable about what you're offering. Again, you can change the carriers as well. So if you wanted to adjust those and turn those on or off, you can. We do have a video of contracting. It's the comprehensive process. The video of the welcome tour. It's teaching you how that works. So as you guys have certain questions or have things come up as you're moving forward, just give me a call or shoot me an email, or also jump on a YouTube page somewhere and we can talk about it together, go through that setup together. We do weekly webinars in Insurance Soup, so those are every Wednesday. Be on the lookout for invitations there on the board. Typically, you can just search Back 9 or Back 9 webinar or weekly webinar, you know, to see some of those. Hit and miss, you know, sometimes people just get really busy. So we don't always expect a ton of people on there, but we do enjoy when we can help as many people as possible. A lot of you guys are at home still right now, so I appreciate all of your time here today. I know the household can be crazy, you have kids. I appreciate your attention here as we've been going through the platform. Feel free to reach out if any other questions. We do have some general industry updates, so again, reach out to me if you have specific carriers where you're like, hey, you know, what's going on with this carrier? Or, hey, Daniel, I put this case in 40 days ago. Like, what the heck is going on? A lot of carriers are moving slow, but I'm happy to talk about it with you guys. All right, again, appreciate your time. Hope you have a great rest of your week, and looking forward to the next meeting here with you all.